Surprisingly, the next issue after 18 is not issue 19, but this, a special issue. So this issue starts with Sally wearing a weird-looking fencing mask while training with Sonic to become a better fighter. 1. This feels really pointless since it's never her who fights robots. Why bother when Sonic's so much better at it? And 2. Why Sonic? That means she's gonna have to take hits from the most powerful member of her team, and therefore the one who's most likely to get her hurt. Why not train with literally anyone else? It's not like you can teach her to do the spin dash. I almost took her head off. Exactly! They even lampshade this. Sally's distracted because she's remembering the previous issues with the white orb in it and with her old mother figure dying. Everything her mother figure owned is now left to her, which is sweet. Although you'd think the princess would have enough things. Well, not anymore thanks to Eggman, but still, how long ago did she write that will? I wonder why Sally is so surprised that someone could own so much material goods in one lifetime. When she's a princess, she used to be rich. Why is she surprised by this? And was Jalila rich too, despite being a mere servant to a princess? Or like a tutor or something? Since when do tutors have such a high salary? One of the things she has is a handsome vest. That's a weird adjective to use with it. I like how she explains that she has a reason to like it, because she always wanted pockets. And this is something I like about the comics over the games. They care enough to try to explain everything. Rather than getting her iconic vest off screen, she gets it on screen in a special issue, with a good reason for it. Another of the things her old mother figure gave to her in her will was a map with instructions on it. The next night, she wakes up to the white orb glowing. Now guess who is making noise? And the white orb vanishes to reveal the first ever appearance of a fan-favorite character, Nicole, in her handheld computer form. Not sure why the white orb chose now to vanish, or show up, but whatever. And this is a great establishing character moment for her, as she introduces herself by telling Sally who she is, and not what she is, telling Sally her name. She also expresses a desire to be Sally's friend, and leaves that choice up to her, showing shyness, clear personality trait, and human desire. She's showing her incredibly advanced AI to be human levels from the moment Sally first meets her. The only problem I can think of with this is that Nicole seems to come out of nowhere for an arbitrary reason as some sort of magical deus ex machina from the sky, but there is a very good explanation for this. I'm just confused about why she wasn't given to Sally much earlier. Sally is still cautious, which is a character for her, and says she reminds her of someone who is telling her that she should be making her own decisions, basically comparing Nicole to her old mother figure. Sorry, I can't remember her name that well, so this is not exactly a common one. And Nicole is incredibly honored at that. Did she know about her? I'm confused. She came from a white orb that fell out of the sky. It's not like she was left to Sally by her former mother figure in her will, which would have explained why she would find being compared to her as such a compliment. There might be an explanation for this, but yeah. All the freedom fighters come over to Sally because they were hearing them talk. For some arbitrary reason, Sonic shakes Nicole, and she panics and gives him a shock to make him stop, saying afterwards that he was shaking her to pieces. I hope he wasn't literally damaging her that way, and she was just using it as an expression. Was she in pain? Again, advanced AI. She actually has pain programmed into her. Sally scolds her like a disapproving mother, showing her loyalty to Sonic, who has an asshole moment where he advises getting rid of Nicole just because of that. But thankfully Sally decides to keep her around whether he likes it or not, saying everyone needs a friend, even though she already has friends. Wait, I wonder if she was also referring to the fact that Nicole might want a friend herself. Good, the writer didn't forget about the map. We cut to Sally leaving the house with the map. Wait, house? I thought she and the Freedom Fighters lived underground, hiding from Eggman. How the hell hasn't Eggman found her house yet? How hasn't he seen her walk out of this house so many times through satellites from above and found her house and stuff? Anyways, she's leaving her house early because Julayla's final testament told her to go to a dangerous place in the Forbidden Zone to attain oneness of the soul, whatever that means, in a place where even Robotnik fears going to. I get that it's a personal mission of hers, but going to such a dangerous place all alone is still incredibly stupid of her. A clear example of boneheaded honor before reason, personal mission or not. She doesn't have the kind of special powers that Sonic and Tails do. What makes her think she's going to be fine? She just said she's going alone, and then she brings Nicole with her? Well, I guess it's because she's an AI that can fit in her pocket and she's not used to thinking of her as a person yet, but still. Someone asks where she's going outside, and fortunately the Freedom Fighter is able to convince her to take them with her. Seriously though, why does she use "it's dangerous" as an argument against them coming with her? If anything, it being dangerous is exactly why she can't go there alone. So they all go on a nice looking pink biplane, and then Sally, Bunny, Sonic, and Antoine for some reason parachute out of it to their destination, with Tails flying after them. It's smart of Sally to tell everyone to bury their parachute because it's hiding the evidence of them being there. She tells everyone that they can't let Eggman's border patrol see them until they're over the wall, so they'll be fine being spotted after that. Sonic, being carefree and reckless as always, jokes that the SWAT bots couldn't hit the side of a barn. And Sally, after being spotted right away, blinds the robots by slingshotting them with paintballs. It sure is convenient that she has both paintballs and a slingshot with her for this exact situation. Her vest allows her to store stuff like this in her pockets, making her slightly more useful. But there's still the question of how she knew to keep this stuff in it to begin with. She sure is prepared. Sonic knocks down only one of the SWAT bots and leaves the rest of them for some reason. And the SWAT bots assume that the Forbidden Zone will kill them anyways, and so there's no point in following them. Never mind the fact that Sonic's with them and he survives everything. I guess they're thinking that the robots, would get destroyed. Sonic and his friends find a giant one-eyed monster, or is it a robot? Robot would actually make sense in this universe, but whatever. Sonic tries to run a circle around it, only to get attacked anyways. And Sally consults Nicole for advice because Sonic had not been able to defeat it for some reason, being fully confident in her ability to help right off the bat. That's sweet of her. Oh, it's a mechanoid, so it is a robot. The design was making me wonder. Why on earth would Eggman intentionally make a robot with just one eye? I guess depth perception is overrated to him? Or if it's not Eggman, somehow, then who was it who made that stupid idea? Nicole magically knows that the robot's sensors have been keyed to detect motion. I guess she's able to hack into robots remotely to discovering their programming and stuff without being able to literally debilitate them by doing so. I got the feeling she's going to be quite a Deus Ex Machina for the rest of the comic, and we'll just have to shrug and go along with it. She's magic, whatever. I'm not sure how this vague explanation gave Sonic the idea to just stay still and make the robot go back to standby mode. I know Sonic's smarter than you'd expect, but he thought a pretty good plan in the heat of the moment. Why the hell would Eggman ever program a robot to be like this? How glitchy is it? No other robot of Eggman's arbitrarily stops attacking when it stops detecting motion. I guess it assumes Sonic had died, and that's why it can't detect motion anymore, so it gives up. But it has an eye for a reason. It can clearly see he's fine. They're really lucky this worked out for them. That was really convenient. I find it pretty charming that Sonic comments on how patience isn't his strong suit. Makes sense since he'd only be patient enough to stay completely still for so long. Not to mention he'd blink. And Sally says no kidding while smiling rather than insulting him, which is sweet. Sally somehow senses that they're getting close to their ultimate destination. Like how she somehow sensed she was being watched and dismissed it in the James Bond parody story. I guess we're supposed to just take this intuition at face value. Well, at least it's justified this time because she has a map. And then they meet a fire-breathing griffin. Okay, this is a fantasy universe, so whatever. Sally advises her friends to fall back, and Tails flies ahead at the griffin, selfishly claiming that only he should be allowed to fly, as a attempt at a badass one-liner, and then is promptly denied a moment of usefulness by getting smacked to the ground instead. At least it wasn't injured, which would have made sense. Fortunately, this causes Tails to discover a sword in the stone that was probably put there on purpose just for a weapon to use against it. I can imagine this would be a pretty gory way to attack an organic being, since she's not just going to be cutting through metal and oil with it. So how is this going to work in a kid's comic? Are they going to miss constantly? Yes! Tails was actually allowed to point out the sword. I thought it would be arbitrarily restricted to Sally, like only she would be allowed to pull it out because she's Sally. But instead, Tails gets to be useful. And for some reason, pulling out the sword makes the griffin stop moving. And Nicole offers a possible explanation that maybe pulling out the sword broke the circuit that had granted the griffin's mobility. So this clearly organic looking monster was a robot all along. Yep, it sure is made of metal alright. Did Eggman put feathers all over to disguise it? why the hell would he intentionally make it so that pulling out the sword in the stone would act like pulling the plug on it? This is very convenient. Sally thanks Tails for being so brave and helpful, and at least has the decency to smile while scolding him that he has to be more careful next time. It's pretty cute how nervous Tails looks after that. It seems relatable. By the way, I kinda like how Sally looks with the blue headband around her. Not more than her usual look, but I like how action girly it looks. I guess that's why she arbitrarily decided to wear it. And then they meet a two-headed dragon. I'm guessing this is a robot somehow too? Sally's genre savvy by this point and wonders if this is another instance where they actually don't have to fight the monster. It's all appearing to be a test of wisdom. Even though Sally's clearly cheating at this test because she's not the one figuring out the puzzles. Nicole and Tails are. Tails by complete accident for trying to get a weapon. When presumably the whole point of the test is to teach you that violence isn't always the only answer when you're forced to pull out a weapon to finish the test. And now Sally's cheating by asking Nicole for advice again. Nicole, who presumably has Wikipedia in her brain, explains that it's a biomechanical watchdog that was long thought to be extinct. Wait, what? Extinct? A robot? Eggman made a whole species of cyborg dragons and didn't put them to use against other people? This is a fascinating concept, at least. Actually using its two heads by having its one head always tells the truth while the other always lies, making it unique contrast. It sure is a good thing that someone wrote down all this information on the dragon so Nicole could read off the Wikipedia article in her brain. As convenient and contrived as this is, I'm just happy she's being so helpful. One door leads to the quest's end, and the other towards certain doom. Wouldn't both doors lead to the quest's end then? Sally's only allowed one question to ask it for some reason. At least it's her this time, but how the hell is she expected to know she had to ask a question without Nicole there to tell her that? Did her mother figure psychically know Nicole was going to be there to help her on a personal mission she had to go on alone? Sally proves how smart she is by asking the question, which door the other head claim leads to the quest's end? Surprisingly, both of the dragon's heads laugh, for some reason, before complimenting Sally that she's wise beyond her years. One head says that his brethren, not sure why I didn't just say his other head, he says that his brethren would tell her to use the door on her left, and Sally realizes that she has to take the door on the right, explaining that if he was the head that tells the truth, he would honestly tell them that the other head would have lied as a warning, and that if he was actually the lying head, then obviously it would still be the door on the right because he just told her to go to the door on the left. So she tricked him into giving her a helpful answer. I perfectly understand why Sonic is confused, scratching his head here. They find a miniature version of Jaleila's Hope Chest, which was here for some reason. Because, you know, Jalaila totally had authority over robotic creations of Eggman's, and easily snuck past them to get her Hope Chest here, in the Forbidden Zone. Even if these were somehow her creations or something, because we all know Jaleila's a brilliant scientist, this still would be contrived. It turns out the treasure was inside her all along, as Jalaila made her go all this way just to get a piece of paper telling her to have faith in herself. Yeah, herself. Even though most of the puzzles were solved by her friends. Well, the only time she had faith in herself to do the puzzle, as in the only time she could do the puzzle, was with the very last one. Not to mention she needed Nicole's help to find out what she was supposed to do with the dragon in the first place. Did she really earn this? How could Jalaila possibly have known that she would have survived all this way, while expecting her to be all alone at that? She nearly got her daughter figure killed over something she could have just told her herself. Brilliant. Do they really expect me to believe Sally never had faith in herself on a regular basis before this point? Because she's never been confident or arrogant before? And then they cut to a showing of the future, where Eggman's been gotten rid of and everyone's happy and Sonic's married to Sally. Okay, plenty of things wrong with showing us all this. Showing us very early on that everything's going to be fine in the end basically ruins all suspense over whether or not Eggman will be defeated, and whether or not all the Freedom Fighters will survive alive and well. Bunny even gets her natural legs back. Good thing we got spoiled on that. Also, I see Tails will need glasses when he gets older. That's interesting. Makes sense, he's a genius. Although apparently they didn't know that at the time, so giving him nerd's glasses was not meaning anything. Another problem I have is that Sonic being shown to be married to Sally here destroys all of the suspense and tension involving the shipping between the two, and whether they'll actually get together. So this is pretty much confirmed early on that yes, these romantically incompatible people are going to end up together. So why bother having them break up during the comic's run for suspense over whether they'll get back together if they're going to end up married anyways? This is like if Friends showed you a future scene of Ross and Rachel being married, and then expected the finale to be all interesting and suspenseful. While I suppose Sonic being shown allowed to date other girls than just Sally, and Sally having love interests other than just Sonic, does make for interesting variety in stories. So I like that, but there's no point in trying to have romantic tension if you know they're going to end up together in the first place. Even though they're statistically really likely to end up divorcing from all the arguments they'll have because they have nothing in common. Seriously, name 10 things that Sonic and Sally have in common personality-wise. Oh wait. I'm glad they're happy together, and honestly that's all I really care about in fictional couples. But realistically, Sonic would get sick of Sally telling him not to be the exciting, thrill-seeking optimist that he is. And Sally would get sick of him being too reckless and selfish instead of careful and a wet blanket like her. Which, come to think of it, is exactly why they end up breaking up in the first place. Because Sonic was too reckless and wanted to go on an adventure even though he was hurt. And the third problem is that Sally seems to be in the narration attributing their victory over Robotnik entirely to herself, because she had faith in herself for all that time. Never mind the contributions of Sonic and Bunny and Tails and Nicole and Rotor. The children have a grandfather. Wait, what? Huh? I know from later on in the comic that King Acorn is rendered basically mentally incompetent because he gets poisoned later on. He's in a wheelchair and everything from what I remember. So does this mean King Acorn magically recovers from all of that and lives long enough to get to this point? Okay, that's good, but very confusing in retrospect. We're also told really early on in the comic's lifespan that Sonic and Sally will not only marry, but have 2 kids. One that looks like their squirrel race mother, and one that looks like their hedgehog father. Thankfully with no wacky, creepy, hybrid children, thank God. I guess that's how it works for Mobians marrying other so-called species of Mobians and breeding with them. I think it's really cool that the daughter of Sally can run the Sonic speed too. So Sonic's powers are genetic. And at the end it's revealed that Rotor was the one who created Nicole in the first place. And the narration explains that the reason he took so long to create her, and why he tried to in the first place, when he should have already had her around and thus not wanted to create her, was that Nicole was destroyed in the final war with Robotnik. That's overly depressing. And he had spent years recreating Eggman technology to make her again, giving the older Sally a tearful reunion that shows how much they care about each other. He spent all that time making her come back, and in her oldest handheld device state at that, because I guess that's the best he could do. Only to send her back in time to help Sally, right away. Not sending her back in time to issue 1 though, that makes too much sense. So this means that Rotor is Nicole's father? That's kinda awkward. A trans-time portal was apparently always somewhere, and that's how they discovered where Nicole had come from. Because someone had created a trans-time portal and left it there for some reason. That was convenient. Without that, we never would have had Nicole in the first place. Now we're introducing time travel again, and this creates a major paradox. As the Freedom Fighters must have been able to win the war against Robotnik without Nicole the first time, in the first timeline, in order for Nicole to be made in the first place. Or apparently she was only made to recover her data that had already existed after being destroyed. So who made her in the first place? Where'd she come from? Will she always be stuck in a loop, getting sent back to the past every time she lives up to being rebuilt from the war? Will she never be able to experience life after she was destroyed? That's gotta suck. How is that like from her perspective? They say they know where she came from, but never explain where she actually did come from. Like, where did she come from originally? Who originally made her? I liked this story. It was a very engaging adventure full of fascinating and interesting concepts. And I liked how it kind of developed Sally's character, for lack of a better word, because it was like an adventure where she was supposed to be the main hero. A personal mission for her, even though she still needed her friend's help. But whatever. I like this story, but it also falls apart if you sneeze at it. Because it's full of plot holes and plot conveniences. How many times have I said the word convenient or convenience in this video alone? It sure is convenient that she has both paintballs and a slingshot with her for this exact situation. Nicole magically knows that the robot's sensors have been keyed to detect motion. They're really lucky this worked out for them. That was really convenient. Why the hell would he intentionally make it so that pulling out the sword in the stone would act like pulling the plug on it? This is very convenient. It sure is a good thing that someone wrote down all this information on the dragon so Nicole could read off of the Wikipedia article in the brain. Because someone had created a trans-time portal and left it there for some reason. That was convenient. The biggest problem is that it's never explained why Sally's mother figure had authority over giant cyborg machines in the first place, which she must have had, or else she wouldn't have survived to bring her small hope chest there, and been able to make them be taken down by simple puzzles. It's never explained who even made these robots in the first place. Why are they the way they are? Why are they defeated so easily, according to a test, when Nicole's the only one who can tell Sally what she has to do against them? And Julie didn't even know Nicole existed when making these. Why aren't they working for Robotnik, since they're clearly robotic creations? If the answer to why she knows the things she does is because she's experienced them all before, having traveled back in time earlier, or that she knows these things because Rotor programmed them into her from his knowledge of the past, why doesn't she know everything important that's going to happen in the freedom fighting time? Like Sally's breakup, and the Iron Nicole thing. She could have avoided that. She could have prevented so much if she knew all that ahead of time. It's not like it would have been a bad thing to prevent those things, because those things aren't vital to happen for them to be able to beat Eggman. So that can't be it. That'd be the equivalent of having an omniscient psychic on their team who'd be able to spoil everything interesting that's going to happen. So she can't know what's going to happen in the future. It looks like her powers of scanning robots are going to be a convenient Deus Ex Machina for the rest of the comic. Don't know something? Well, let's ask Nicole and she'll magically know about it. I'm just happy that someone other than Sonic is being useful, so I'm willing to shrug this off as magic. But I'm still going to point out when her help is completely contrived and arbitrary. This special issue was written by Mike Kantarovich and Ken Penders. Yep, I figured. Brilliant and fascinating ideas and engaging plot, but plot holes everywhere. Great ideas, flawed execution. Perfect for the Sonic series.